The bright lights of the AGT Philippines stage reflected across a packed auditorium. Thousands of fans waited excitedly as the next contestant's name appeared on the giant screen. Miguel Santos, 15 years old. The audience applauded politely, but the moment Miguel stepped onto the stage, whispers spread through the theater. His clothes were old and faded. His shoes were worn out with visible holes. He looked nervous, holding a small, scratched guitar that seemed older than he was. One audience member quietly laughed. Another shook their head. Some people assumed this audition would end in only a few seconds. One of the judges smiled kindly. "Hello, Miguel. Tell us about yourself." Miguel took a deep breath before speaking. "My name is Miguel. I live with my grandmother in a small fishing village. My parents passed away when I was little. Every morning before school, I sell bread on the streets to help us buy food." The theater instantly became silent. "My grandmother always tells me that no matter how poor we are, dreams are always free." Several people in the audience lowered their heads. Another judge asked softly, "So why AGT Philippines?" Miguel smiled through watery eyes. "Because my grandmother has never seen me perform on a real stage. She's watching from home today." The cameras immediately showed viewers wiping away tears. The host standing backstage whispered, "This could become one of the most emotional auditions we've ever seen." The judges nodded. "When you're ready." Miguel gently held his guitar. He closed his eyes. For several seconds, nothing happened. The silence made everyone nervous. Then, one soft guitar chord echoed across the theater. Miguel began singing. His voice was unlike anything anyone expected. Warm. Powerful. Filled with emotion. Every lyric carried years of hardship, hope, sacrifice, and love. The audience members who had laughed only moments earlier slowly covered their mouths in disbelief. One judge leaned forward. Another stopped writing notes completely. Backstage crew members quietly gathered near the monitor, unable to look away. As the song continued, Miguel's confidence grew. His voice reached higher notes with incredible control. Even the musicians backstage stared at each other in amazement. Halfway through the performance, one camera focused on an elderly woman watching from her tiny living room. It was Miguel's grandmother. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "I always knew you could do it." Back inside the theater, the audience had become completely silent. No phones. No whispers. Only Miguel's unforgettable voice filled every corner of the building. As the final chorus began, several audience members were openly crying. One judge quietly reached for a tissue. The song ended with one final guitar note. Silence. For almost 3 seconds. Nobody moved. Then suddenly, the entire theater exploded into the loudest standing ovation of the season. Thousands of people stood together, clapping and cheering. Miguel couldn't believe his eyes. He covered his face as tears rolled down his cheeks. The judges were already standing. One smiled and said, "Miguel, today you reminded every single person here that talent has nothing to do with money." Another judge added, "You walked onto this stage carrying an old guitar, but you leave carrying the respect of an entire nation." The audience erupted once again. Then something unexpected happened. One judge slowly reached toward the glowing golden buzzer. The entire theater held its breath. Miguel looked completely frozen. His hands trembled. The judge smiled warmly. "You came here hoping someone would believe in your dream." A pause. "Today." Slam. The golden buzzer lit up the theater. Golden confetti burst into the air like a waterfall of light. The crowd screamed with excitement. Miguel collapsed to his knees, overwhelmed with emotion. The host ran onto the stage and hugged him tightly. Back at home, his grandmother cried tears of joy as neighbors celebrated with her. Social media exploded within minutes. Clips of Miguel's audition spread across Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Millions of people shared the performance. Comments poured in from around the world. This isn't just a performance, it's a life-changing moment. Real talent comes from the heart. I cried from beginning to end. Within days, musicians, charities, and schools offered to support Miguel's education and musical journey. His family's small home was repaired through community donations, and he was invited to perform at charity concerts across the Philippines. What began as one boy's dream became a symbol of hope for countless young people who believed their circumstances defined their future. Months later, Miguel returned to the AGT Philippines stage for the live shows. This time, he wore a neat suit, carried a brand new guitar, and walked with quiet confidence. Before singing, he smiled into the camera and said, "This performance is for every child who thinks their dream is too big." The audience rose to their feet before he even sang a note. And once again, his voice proved that the greatest talent isn't measured by wealth, fame, or appearance. It's measured by the courage to never stop believing.